you doing, guys? My name's Dan O'Cattle. Back here with my co-hosts.
Anthony Garcia.
Jimmy B.
And we have a guest today. This is Paul from Pax. How you doing, Paul?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, brother. So we'll get down to the nitty-gritty and ask you a question that everybody wants to know. So how big is it, Paul?
Para tu pene.
Depends on how close it is.
So what is there a perfect size for your penne? Is there a perfect size for your penne?
Probably a little bit more on the rigatoni, or the paccheri.
Yeah?
Penny is a little,
So anybody who's watching knows Paul and knows that he's an owner and operator of Pax Romana.
We cannot.
White Plains, best Italian food you can get around. So
I
tell
agree.
us, Paul, how did you come to be?
I agree.
How did I come to be? Well, my mother and my father.
Yeah, they got going. at it, right?
They love each other very
Love
much.
each other very much.
And your grandmother's recipes, right? Passed down.
Yeah, a few.
Is that really how it goes in like Italian cooking? It's just like it's passed down.
Yeah.
Through the
There's
family?
no actual recipes. There's no handwritten anything. You just kind of learn as you go and you watch. But
And they'll tell
There's
you
no
if you fuck up.
book. You're already fucked up before you even start.
Yeah.
There's no way to replicate it exactly. It's their hands and their mind of decades of doing the same thing over and over again, but they were onto something. Different breed, those people. Beautiful thing, though. You try to replicate it as best you can and keep the traditions going as best you can, but
I
all
feel like
within
you're
reason.
doing a great job.
It's been good to us so far.
I feel
Knock on
like
wood.
other people recognize that you're doing a great job too.
It's a good sign when you get a lot of Italians, like from Italy, that come and eat at your restaurant because Italians don't like to eat out.
Yeah.
They either eat at home or they find like one
Family.
or two places. Yeah, that's it. So when you get actual Italians that come in, that's usually a good sign, and then everyone else follows. So
Nice.
it's not bad.
It is similar in Ireland as well. Like where I'm from, people don't really eat out that often at all.
They just go out to drink.
Yeah, of course. Can't drink in your house. Well, you can.
Yeah.
That doesn't really
It's a
end up
funny
too
thing actually about that. In Ireland, happy hour is not a big thing. It's like people start drinking when they finish work on a Friday, and then they stop drinking when they have to start working again on a Monday.
I'm pretty sure happy hour is illegal in Ireland.
Is it?
I think the government actually put a ban on happy hour because
That's
they're just getting
interesting.
out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true that they make pregnant women drink Guinness?
Back in like the 80s and stuff, there actually was a thing where a doctor would recommend for
Yeah,
the
I've
amount
heard
of
that.
iron that's
Yeah.
in Guinness that you would drink Guinness whilst pregnant or that a young child. I remember my cousin was actually like, he was bulimic when he was really young. And the doctor, he was premature the whole 9 yards, my cousin John. But actually, I remember the doctor telling him that he should, and I remember being in a pub with him and his dad like feeding him Guinness when he's like 6, and I was like, this is crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah. But question,
bless.
man.
God
So
bless.
what was your first experience in the hospitality industry?
In actual hospitality, when I was 17, I was working since I was about 12, 13.
What was
But
your first job?
ever?
Yeah.
First unofficial job was cleaning up peanuts that my neighbor would feed the squirrels.
Cleaning up peanuts.
$20 to clean up all the shells
That's
she
the
would throw
best.
outside.
That's the best.
Official job, I was
The
a
old peanut
cat.
cleaner.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I was official job, I was a caddy
That's
at
hilarious.
Ardsley Country Club. I was like 13, 14. Then Stu Leonard's, and then for a couple of years. But then
Did you learn
it was-
anything at Stu Leonard?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. I was probably, it was mid-teens, but I was a cashier, so you saw a lot of, the place is a massive operation, so you're coming across thousands of people a week, so you kind of learned people and personalities and mannerisms. Because I was a cashier, so every single person that come through, they have to go through you at some point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought you kind of break out of your shell a little bit, see more like emotions and
Dealing with the general public.
interesting.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That's one
very
of
much
the
so.
that's one of the underlying benefits of this industry, and it's one reason that if I ever have kids, that
Yeah.
they'll be in the restaurant from an early age,
100%.
is because you're surrounded by so many people and your personal skills
Yeah.
are just like
Teaches you a lot about
Blown
life.
up.
I think
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
should really have some little stint in this business.
Yeah.
So
I'd agree.
yeah.
If you don't, I feel like you come in oblivious to the work that people are doing to
Agreed.
provide you with a good time or even just a service. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. You see it day to day when you're serving people. Sometimes you're like, okay, you definitely have never had to serve anybody in your life in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Because if you had, you wouldn't speak this way to me
Yeah.
right now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Some people do so minimal, like just in general. I remember this kid when I was in college, and it was his first year, so his first time ever leaving the house, and he had to take the trash out, right? The trash out. So he had to get the garbage can, pour the garbage can into the garbage bag.
When you were in Ireland, it was the bins.
The bins, yeah, the bins.
Bins.
I'd take the garbage
Damn.
from the bins, pour them into the garbage bag, and everybody knows that you get the garbage bag, you cover the bin, and then you turn it upside down. This kid had the bag like on the ground, and he was like trying to do it. Next thing you know, spilled his shit everywhere. It's just like,
Exactly.
how? Are you,
Good
you're
old
like you're like 18. You're 18. You
Right.
haven't never
Should
emptied
be
the
very
trash before.
self-sufficient by this point.
You,
in
you
life.
should be at least able to like empty the
Something.
garbage.
Even sweeping, like it's really easy, but for someone that's never swept before,
You can tell.
yeah, you can tell. You
It's my
can
favorite
really
thing
tell.
to do for the record.
Yeah,
Sweeping.
sweeping. I love
Man,
sweeping.
I was a
love it.
hairdresser.
I swear to God, I love it.
Yeah.
I spent years
Love
just
it.
sweeping floors.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's very therapeutic.
Yeah,
Yes,
I like it as
yes,
well.
yes. And washing dishes. Last time you guys
Yeah.
said you didn't like washing dishes.
I'm
but
not
I-
a dishwasher. I don't like.
I like
I am a
washing dishes.
dishwasher technically, but like I don't like washing dishes. I love sweeping floors though. Sweeping floors.
I
no
love
problem.
it. One of my guys that works with us, if we finish a night or an event or whatever it is, and there's some sweeping involved, I'll always grab the broom. He tries to grab it from me. I'm like, no, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
I was
Get
like,
off the broom.
I'm sweeping the floors. But it also, I feel like it's good too because it's like one of those things that helps keep you grounded. I feel like no matter what I've accomplished, or however you want to put it, I've just never felt like I was too good to do something. So sweeping, I feel, is just that humbling experience that kind of, one, I enjoy. It's very therapeutic, puts me in my zen or whatever. But it also keeps you grounded and kind of reminds you,
Yeah.
no matter
I-
how far up the totem pole you get.
And you're showing
Yeah.
the other
You're
guys, right?
Yeah.
You're showing the other guys around you that it's like
Yeah.
I pitch in just as much as everybody else.
Everyone
Yeah.
says lead by example, but these are the little things that are like the real examples.
Yeah, you're dead
know.
right.
Someone told me
So-
the same story from the French Laundry in California. Some chef or like a well-known line cook goes to the job and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." Asking the janitor outside, and he say, "Hey, I'm looking to talk to the chef." And the guy's cleaning, and he's like, "Yeah, what position you looking for?" He's like, "I know, I want to talk to the owner." He's like, "I am the owner."
Ooh.
French Laundry, like a 3 Michelin star restaurant.
Wow.
The guy's outside like sweeping the floor.
Never heard of it.
As he should be.
As you
Yeah.
exactly as you should be. You
Wow.
can't
What about,
overlook these
It's a
minor
great story.
things.
So how did you integrate into hospitality?
Love that.
So that once I left good old Stu's, I actually did really enjoy it there. But I went on to the
Did anyone slip you their number when you're
yeah, once or twice. They leave you the wow cards.
right?
Did an exceptional job.
Yeah.
I went on to the castle on the Hudson in Terrytown. I live in Terrytown. I grew up there as well.
You told me about this place
Yeah.
before, actually. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful
Yeah, I've seen
property.
it's large.
For at the time, which I'm sure it still is, but it was a 4-diamond property, hotel, restaurant, and then a catering for like private events, any type, weddings, sweet, anything. A lot of corporate outings as well. I was there for 4 years. My first 2 years, I was seasonal because I was at Johnson & Wales in Providence for hotel restaurant management. So every time I'd come home on break, I would be working there as often as I could. Then when I graduated, I went on full time for 2 more years, and that was the start of it. But it was like very like military style training, which is also not even just giving somebody an advice on what you should do, just working in the business. But if you can go through a training like this, it will set a standard and discipline and motivation unlike anything else. Like I couldn't have taken more value out of it than really that style training. Was amazing. Brutal. Cried a lot. It's great. But it teaches you a lot about life and like really putting in work to wanting to achieve something and not running away in like the face of adversity or anything. It teaches you discipline.
Yeah, I love that.
Excuse me. discipline, I'm gonna start choking up again. Yeah. But so yeah, that was 4 years, and then I went on to. I was a food and beverage director for a private club for 6 years in Rockland County. That also changed my life all over again. That was an incredible experience, met a lot of people, but now I'm dealing with a membership instead of general public, which was also nice because, like I said, you deal with people, you deal with different personalities, everyone's different, but with a membership, you're dealing with the same people, which is also nice in a sense. I treat it like a game because now you get to kind of really dive deep and figure out personalities.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, but
Like,
there could be similarities.
I get you. So it's
Yeah.
like you're dealing with the general public.
Right.
You have to
I figure everyone out on a personal level instead of like a blanket
exactly,
level.
and then now you're dealing with these people,
Yeah.
and it's almost like a family. Like they
Right.
know you, you know them, they know everything
Exactly.
about you, kind of thing.
Every little detail.
Yeah.
And I still use that to this day in the sense that sometimes I'll come across somebody new that reminds me of like a member from the club. And I don't use it in a, I use it in a genuine way in the sense that like I do want to create a good experience for you while you're here. So if you remind me of somebody that like I trained myself over, I already feel like I have a step ahead, in making sure that you get a great experience.
Of course,
So that's how I kind
there's
of
a lot of similar people, like
Yeah.
know? And then
No one's ever the same, but to your point, very, very similar. So you kind of use it as the
some
foundation.
people are meticulous in what they like, and some people are just there, like they want to have a chat, they want to have a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, how did you initiate your entry to White Plains? Because I know from when I first met you, I asked you about a carbonara, and you were like, "Oh, you want a carbonara?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I've been looking for a carbonara everywhere."
I thought you were fucking with me when
No,
you
no,
first
I
asked
didn't
me
even
that
know.
question.
I
I
didn't know who I
remember
was
that
talking to.
conversation thoroughly. Well, so I wasn't leaving the club until it was for myself.
Right.
And then, my partners and I had been restaurant shopping actually for about a year all over Westchester. And their families been in the business also, a little bit in White Plains. Been coming to White Plains since I was 14. I went to Stepinac for high school.
Very nice.
Started sneaking into bars when I was like 18.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. Back then, all you needed was a colored pencil. You changed
Really?
it
Yeah.
86 to
Damn.
an 80. All of a sudden, I was 6 years old. It was great. Yeah, good old thirsty turtle. But so I've been in White Plains for a good amount of time. And then I just always enjoyed it here. And I felt like White Plains was starting to take a turn in a sense for the better, where I think it was headed in a cool direction. I think people were thinking more outside of the box and creating more diversity. And
Gentrification.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of development in White Plains. You
So
can see
much.
it still to this
It's
day.
absolutely tremendous. And even the locations that some of them are in, I never in a million years would have thought they'd be there. Even the Mitchell,
Yeah.
middle of Restaurant Row, like you see the outskirts. I get it.
And it is
But
huge.
huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
But right there in the middle of the Ave, I mean, that's a dream. And that came true. So pretty cool. But so we opened up White Plains in 2016. Location changed to where we are now.
So that's something that we wanted to talk to you about, right?
Okay.
I remember you were building out a large restaurant.
Yeah.
I don't want to, for better use of the term, say you got like fucked.
Shafted.
Yeah, you got shafted.
Straight up. How do you say it in Spanish?
What do you mean?
How do you say shafted in Spanish?
Shafted is like what? Like
Like,
fuck?
yeah, get screwed.
Man,
Yeah,
I
something
can't
like
think
that.
about it on the top of my head.
No, sorry.
No.
So you
Got
were
railed.
right. You got railed
Yeah.
because I remember you
say
you
this,
were all
man.
excited about this place. I had just met you.
Yeah.
I-
I want to touch on that too,
Yeah,
because that
go,
was a
go.
great combo. So I'm sitting at the bar at Brazen Fox. This fine gentleman here, right in front of me. He looks at me. He goes, "Do you know where I can get the best carbonara?" I was like,
I knew I was speaking to a bunch of guineas. I was like these
I
two
must have been
Italian
going like
blokes.
this or something. I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
Where did you get this? That's hilarious.
But I was like, Are you fucking with me?
Yeah.
He thought I was fucking with him.
I swear to God, what kind of question? I don't walk up to random people and ask,
Yeah.
"Hey, how's your carbonara?"
Yeah.
You know.
Are
Well,
you,
the chances.
were you guys open at this time?
We were
Okay.
open at the time. So I said, "Well, go right to the corner, Pax Romana,
Yeah, yeah.
most authentic." I was like, don't expect this cream and peas and all this other bullshit that they put in it.
fucking peas.
No,
no,
creamy
no.
pea carbonara.
Yeah.
None of that shit.
No, authentic. No cream, egg yolk, cheese, a little bit of black pepper, guanciale. Panceta's okay. No bacon.
You did specify that day.
Did.
You were like, you need the guanciale, and I was like, yeah.
That's how you know it's real. Now, listen, the other ones aren't bad, but they're not really carbonara. But it's fine. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. I just refuse to serve it that way. Oh, can I get cream? No. Absolutely not.
Standard.
Put peas? No, we don't carry peas for this particular reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't carry mint for mojitos either. I refuse to make a mojito.
Yeah,
I
just
hate
no.
it. I hate it, so we don't carry mint.
Yeah, the muddle and them,
Yeah.
they do get messy.
Do people ask for mint in their carbonara?
No, sometimes. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
At
Nowadays.
this point, right?
Yeah, I'll forget it. But, so yeah, that was how... I feel like that was probably our first...
And that was the first interaction
time
I
we
ever
met.
had with you.
Yeah.
100%. Because I remember
So-
walking up and I was like, these two Italian blokes. I was, for whatever reason, fiending for a
Blokes.
carbonara. And I was like, these two Italian blokes have
Yeah.
to know where I can get a good carbonara. I'd been in New York for ages. I was saying it to you. And I was like, everywhere I go in New York, man, I
Yeah.
keep getting this creamy carbonara. Whereas, like, people have this
That's schifo.
idea that in Ireland you won't get good Italian food. But the thing about it is Ireland has such good produce and we're so close to Italy that a lot of Italian chefs come and set up in Dublin
believe
City
it.
Centre.
Yeah.
They do. Like you go
believe
to
it.
Dublin City Centre, you can get some legit Italian food. But
Yeah,
not
we
as legit
definitely-
as what I got in the Pax Romana when I came to
Yeah.
get a carbonara.
Yeah, in Ireland,
That's right,
we,
baby.
we definitely don't have a good cuisine. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. But when you taste any individual product,
Yeah.
it's banging. The best eggs, the best meat, the best milk, the best
Butter.
flour, the butter,
Butter.
everything.
Yeah,
It's just
Yeah.
You can't.
What's the popular Irish bread with the butter? Something with a K. Isn't it?
you think about
Incredible.
Boxty?
Who?
Boxty?
No,
You're
he's
talking
talking
about
about
Boxty?
actual brands.
Oh,
of
yeah, it's an
bread.
actual butter.
Oh,
Incredible.
Oh,
Kerrygold.
yeah,
butter.
yeah,
Kerrygold.
Kerrygold, yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Man,
Tell you
the
about
thing
bread.
about
Yeah.
Irish butter is it has
No,
a
butter,
much
butter.
higher
Did I say
fat
butter? I might have said
percentage.
butter.
And because it has a higher fat percentage,
delicious.
it's delicious, but it's also necessary for bacon. You can't bake with American butter.
Use real butter, not this
Yeah,
fake
you
shit.
need either French or Irish or one of the European styles of butter or specific butter with higher fat content.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I meet you.
Yeah.
You're telling me where to go to get the carbonara, and then but you explained
Unbiased,
to me
completely.
completely unbiased.
Yeah.
Then you explained to me, and I think at this point had you already have started the second restaurant?
That,
I don't think so.
I don't think I
I
had
think
started
you
that
had
one yet.
just started the first restaurant.
I think it was around the first.
Yeah,
It had to be, because that was
because
about 6
you
years
were,
ago.
and then I met you a couple months later,
Right.
And you were like, "Yo,
The transition period.
this guy," and tell us about this guy. And even if you obviously don't need to name a name, let's
No,
explain the
yeah.
situation.
I mean,
Or name the name, whichever you want to do. Like, either
Nah,
way,
but-
they shafted you.
respectfully, I won't use his name.
Right.
Yeah, so walk us through it.
Yeah. Well, long story short, it was we were given a fraudulent lease on the space of the building that was being foreclosed on.
Oh,
but not
no.
yet. And
Oh, fuck.
simple title search probably would have found it to be true, but that wasn't done. We were unaware of that. It was just, yeah, this is a great space. Our lawyer, sign it, go. Okay, cool, let's go. Con artist of a landlord. Built it out cosmetically for about 6 months, then opened. Operated for 8 months before we found out. Operated and kind of fought it, tried to figure out what was going on for an additional 4 months. To the day, we were open for exactly a year, and then we had no choice other than to leave.
That must have been an absolute kick in the stomach.
Yeah, I was in court for a year because of it afterwards. It was great. Yeah, it was definitely a kick in the stomach. Probably one of the lowest points of my life. But again, I'm not one to fold
No.
in the face of adversity. I kind of feel like when you're at like bottom, that's when you find out like who you really
Agreed.
are.
Yeah,
as a human.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, guaranteed.
So, and I couldn't have been more bottom. Depression, anxiety, like
All the love you put into the
rage-
space.
Yeah, everything. Absolute rage. Unfathomable, like,
Yeah.
the feelings that go through you. But again,
Determination.
Yeah.
complete. So
Yeah.
you feel so dead, but it's strange because you feel so alive at the same time.
Yeah, because
then
that
you-
is
Not
like
real
life
now.
shit.
All
Yeah,
there
it's
is now
wild.
gained.
It takes so much
So-
effort to get from point 0 to point, let's say 5.
Right.
The restaurant's just starting, and then it ends, and then you're back to point zero again. But now you know you were at 0.5.
Right.
And you know that you
Right.
can ultimately get to 0.50, and you're on the way there, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, this setback is not stopping me. I'm still fucking going.
And to me, I mean, this wasn't really a failure in the sense that it wasn't necessarily my actions. I do take responsibility, you know, even in light of all this, and even though there were a lot of different factors playing into it, at the end of the day, it's still my fault. Maybe I should have done something different. You know, I should have done a little more homework. But I was also 28 when we opened, you know, and
excited.
and very excited. Yeah, it's
Your
my
dreams
dream,
are
my
coming
whole
true.
life. Right. So you know, you kind of get a little ahead of yourself. But again, you know, there's a level of accountability that goes into every choice that you make.
Of course.
So even though I'm mad at him and I could blame him for some things, I also blame myself. You know, and which
When you
also
don't
teaches
blame yourself, you take
Right.
the ability to change or to do more out. You never want to do that. You never want
Right.
to limit yourself of what you could do.
Right. And for me, like, I guess it's a blessing, maybe a little bit of a curse, but I'm not afraid to fail. So if it was a failure, I'd be like, all right, you know, we failed, I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah.
You know, cool. But I wasn't going out that way. I wasn't having something taken away from me and then just saying, okay, you know, let's pack up and go.
Yeah, it
I'm
wouldn't
going
be
to give
right.
this another shot. And listen, if the next shot doesn't work, all right, you know, I figured it out.
We'll try something else.
Go do something else. Simple as that. Literally as simple as that.
So how
Ye-
quickly did you find the next
3
location?
months.
3 months? Just like that?
Yeah, you were moving.
We were still on court, but I was
Not waiting.
Yeah. You know, I used the powers of social media and life and everything, and I said, okay, we're going to keep everybody that's been part of us, because it was an awesome year for us that we were open there. You know, it really set the foundation for everything we did going forward. We made a lot of connections, knew a lot of people, made enough noise to get a solid reputation. So I can't be entirely mad at that year because it set the groundwork for everything that I did next. So in the transition, social media, everything kept every step of the way. It was even posting pictures when we were putting up sheetrock. You know, like, oh, this is today's, you know, accomplishment and this and this and this. So it was a whole thing. So then
People loved the underdog
Yes.
story, you know? So
Yeah.
if anything, people wanted to see you succeed
oh,
again.
it was incredible. And even the amount of people that reached out was insane. I'm talking about tens and tens and tens of thousands of
Yeah.
messages.
Yeah.
I couldn't even keep up.
And just on that point that you made about failure,
Yeah,
you only fail, I believe, is when you stop.
exactly.
Like
you quit.
when
I've
you
never
mention-
quit anything in my life.
When you mention
unless it was
adversity,
to progress.
when you mention adversity, you're always going to face adversity, always.
Every day of your
But
life.
when you're like, okay, I lost, adversity won, that's when you fail.
fuck off.
If you can just keep going through it all the time because that's what's going to happen,
Right.
then whatever you want to do, you can get it done.
It's truth. So we built it out for 14 months, reopened, and it was like the floodgates opened, and we were right back, probably even better than where we were before. And this one was cool because prior to this location, at the original location rather, we took an existing restaurant, put our touches on it cosmetically, and then opened. This one, it wasn't a restaurant at all. No one's ever dined in this space ever before. So we literally built 4 walls from scratch to what it is now and literally made every single detail our own. So like everything about it was us, from soup to everything. So it felt more like home. And even though it was a fucked up point of life with everything that had happened, it has dozens and dozens, and still to this day proven that it was a blessing in disguise. That I didn't realize that at the time because I was just so angry and so pissed off, but still I was so focused at the same time. Anyway, but you know what? I came across something that was like, if we were at the old space, I was like, this wouldn't have worked. Or this and this and that. And it kept happening over and over. And I'm going to be completely honest. If we had to go through COVID in the original space, I would not exist right now.
There you go.
Massive, massive space. It was 12,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Massive operation. You know,
Of
I
course.
think at the time it was like
This
150,000
is-
a month all in before
Yeah.
you even broke
Yeah.
even.
So this is the
Wow.
thing is a
So-
lot of the best places
Being
are
self-aware.
very large.
Yeah.
And they couldn't sustain COVID because same here. Honestly, we were looking at places on Mamaroneck Ave before we opened up the Blind Pig.
Yeah.
We looked at a space that was like double the size. It's now the Archie Grants, but like the guys who opened Archie Grants, they had that closed for 3 years.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember.
We
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to keep this closed, right? And our bills here are way lower than what they would have been
Right.
up on the Ave.
Right.
So like we know ourselves, we wouldn't have been able to sustain it, and we wouldn't have been able to restart had we been up there.
Purely on numbers, just because of how hard of a blow it was to everyone operating. Listen, the ones who made it through, even the massive spaces that made it through, God bless.
Yeah, man.
God bless. But for the price point that we're at and the volume we do, because we're more of a restaurant first.
Yeah.
We don't do the nightlife that can generate tens of thousands in a night. That wasn't the point.
So trying to give a certain product.
Yeah, we wanted. I mean, our drinks, our drinks are good, but we wanted to be known for the food.
Yeah, and you are.
Yeah.
So
and that was the goal.
You guys faced a lot of adversity, right? First, you had the first space that you opened, the fraudulent lease. Mm-hmm. Then you just get your second place open. Then COVID hits, right? What are you thinking when COVID hits? You're like, you can't get a break, even though you're successful, even though people want to be there. You're like, it just feels like, how did that go for you?
It was strange in a sense because I also wasn't going out because of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be damned. Again, this is not a failure. This is just a completely absurd curveball thrown at you. And again, I'm not going out. But it was strange in the sense because I said to myself, I was like, all right, we got to start thinking outside of the box a little bit,
I remember you
seeing
did the
what we could
pasta
do.
classes, pasta making classes.
Well, the classes were part of operating, but then during COVID, we did the pasta kits.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that was actually
Great
after
idea.
about a week. So we had a full refrigerator, and I think I remember it being like 220 pounds of pasta that we had just made. Everything we make is every day fresh. So we had 220 pounds of pasta in house. I'm like, Jesus. I was like, this is all going to go to waste. This is an absolute sin to let all this food go. So I just went on Instagram. I was like, hey, if anyone's interested, we have 220 pounds of pasta, this shape, whatever. If anyone wants, we're selling it $8 a pound, whatever. Anyone that needs it, let us know. We'll pack it up. You come pick it up, we bring it to you. I don't care. In 24 hours, just on Instagram alone, we sold all 220 pounds of pasta. And then our refrigerator with some prepared foods, everything else, we donated to, it was a senior citizen residence in New Rochelle. They had reached out because they saw our post, and I said, yeah. I was like, take it. I'm not even charging you, whatever you need.
Nice.
If I dump this in the garbage, I'm going to be sick.
Yeah, of course.
So cleaned it all out. Not 1 ounce of food wasted. Beautiful. Closed down completely. Did a lot of cleaning that week, a lot of sweeping. And then just kept thinking. And I kept seeing on Facebook now, there's shortages of toilet paper and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then I kept seeing pasta. And I'm like, all right, well, we make pasta, so
Let's see.
yeah, let's see what we could do. And I just sold 220 pounds of it in one day. I was like, maybe this will stick. And it stuck. And then just off Instagram alone, keeping everyone updated every day, this shape. And then we incorporated sauces and then a few other things. And then when ready to eat food was allowed again, we incorporated that. But in a month and a half, just off Instagram, we sold 5,000 pounds of pasta at $8 a pound.
Wow.
And then the sauces on top, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know. Thousands and thousands
great.
of gallons of
Great.
tomato sauce, vodka sauce, and the bomboloni donuts, thousands.
I love the
And it was
bombolonis.
Yeah.
It's like a cult following for those things. It's crazy. But so that's how we stayed afloat. But again, I kind of, in a strange way, I went back to the playbook I had created when we lost the first restaurant to the landlord and surviving that and utilizing mentally and then even through keeping everyone involved, trying to create some
Like a
type of
family
normal
team
feel
atmosphere.
in an completely abnormal world. And so I went back to that playbook that, to be honest, if I didn't lose the first restaurant, I wouldn't have had that playbook. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have made it through this, but
Set you
I kind
up.
of felt like I had a little bit of an advantage.
Quickly. You adjusted
Super
quickly.
quick.
Yeah.
And then it just, and we had a great operation going. One of my partners, excuse me, he worked on paperwork and this and that, everything that was available behind the scenes, office work, everything else. My other partner, Alfredo, he was more on the actual production side. He would come in early in the morning, make all the pasta, everything, and then I would come in, we'd meet for about an hour, then he would leave, and then I was solely in charge of marketing and distribution.
Selling.
And so it was just such a seamless operation every single day. and that's how it stuck. But it was, definitely a team effort, and we all contributed something, and then it just luckily worked.
And then COVID ends, right?
Yeah.
And when COVID ends, you guys are killing it again. I remember, like,
Yeah.
people want to go out and dine immediately, like you guys right away. I
Mm-hmm.
remember you telling me, man, our lunches have been great. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys get going again. And just recently now, you get given a very prestigious award.
Yeah, that came
So-
out of nowhere too.
Speak to us about this.
Well, I mean, when we were be able to reopen for indoor dining and everything else, I also didn't want the restaurant to feel like a war zone. I didn't want to put up plastic walls everywhere and this and that. First, that was never required.
Never.
Nobody ever said you had to put up all these partitions and make this feel like
You have to hug your
where
kids
the
with
hell.
plastic
Yes,
on.
it's crazy.
It is
you said
crazy.
6 feet, we did 6 feet. You said do this, we did this. And we followed the guidelines that were given, but didn't go to the extremes. And I think that people really were drawn to that because, again, they felt as normal as possible in an abnormal world. Without, it's like, wow, I feel like I'm actually dining in a restaurant and not a war zone. What the hell's going on? I'm in the cubicles eating dinner. Wild.
It was crazy, right?
Right. And
But some people
and
loved
we
it.
never had a problem. No one ever said, "Oh my God, I was here last night. I got COVID." Nothing. Thankfully, I'm not saying it's because of all that, but we wanted to treat it as normal as possible, follow the guidelines that were given, not exceed it insanely, and I think that people were drawn to that.
You remember you go into Manhattan, there's people eating outside in plastic bubbles.
Jesus, right?
Like,
It's crazy. Snowing outside. There are
Yeah.
10 coats on, a hat, everything, but they have to eat outside. Why?
Yeah, I'd love to know
Why?
where that actually came from, the whole barrier thing.
science.
I don't know.
But,
Yeah, it's a
but,
Piece of
yeah,
science.
but that's a good point that you make, Paul. It was never required. We did
Zero.
something similar to here. We never had anything, and people are like,
No.
"Where's your barriers? Where's this?"
No,
we
that's why I
don't
loved
have
it.
to have
But
the
see,
barriers.
Yeah.
What
But
are
there
you
must
talking
be
about?
truth to it, and to my point, because I love it here because I love you guys, love the drinks, love what you do. You guys, favorite bar in White
Thank you,
Plains,
bro.
Thank you, man.
hands down. But it felt normal. Like it never felt. Like, yeah, you did to separate. You did what you had to do, but you didn't exceed it. And it was like I feel normal here, and that's all anyone wanted was to feel the way they did pre-March 2020.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
True.
So then you
Right.
end up, how did you rise to this award? Or how would you say you got noticed? And what way was it approached?
I have
did you
no
know
idea.
it was coming?
No.
No, you were sitting
I
there.
mean, it's an unbelievable award, and even the experience, and even it's only been a week or so now, and you just see this new tide of everything coming in. It's phenomenal.
So what is the actual title given to the award?
So the title is called the Bib Gourmand. I mean, Michelin obviously is it's like a restaurant rating system. You get 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. I never built Pax with the intention of receiving a star. It wasn't the point. Love that. Like I said, I came from a restaurant training at the Castle that probably should have had a star. But like that wasn't the point. This is a casual Italian eatery, and we just want a little fun, good food, good drinks, good people, and just that was it. And it was never, excuse me, it was never a goal to really get to that point. So Bib Gourmand, I guess, is more of an award that they give that you exceed a certain level of expectation with food, service, ambiance, but more of like a casual eatery, more affordable, everything else, more approachable for anybody. Not hitting like that super, super fine dining, but you still kind of get that experience in certain ways. So as of right now, I think there's more to the list coming this week, but we were one of 18 in all of New York City and Westchester that received it for this year. So and
Nice.
there's been other restaurants within Westchester, I think last year or 2 years ago.
How does one even get noticed for that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even know that we won it. A friend of mine emailed us. It was like, "Hey, congratulations on Bib Gourmand." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Send me a link, and I'm like, "Is this virus?
I think
Spam?
it's probably worth mentioning. Like Paul, I'm sure you know a little bit more. Can you
Yeah.
delve a little bit more into what Michelin is, who they are, how prestigious this award is? Because this is no joke.
I mean, people really do consider any type of Michelin award like, I forgot, I think Lo had put it perfectly. It's like the holy grail of an award from this establishment, So Michelin's been around for years, you know, and they're some of the top chefs of the world. You know, they strive for that 1 Michelin star, 2 Michelin stars, 3 Michelin stars. And there's, I mean, I don't know how many, but there aren't thousands of them. Like, it's a very, very prestigious award. But those are the Michelin stars itself. And then there's Bib Gourmand, which, like I said, I personally don't think we'd ever be considered for a star. But it's another way of them saying, like, oh, hey, we see you. And because it's such a prestigious organization, like it's a huge accomplishment, great feeling coming behind it. But yeah, anyone in the restaurant business, I mean, you've heard of Michelin.
You have
Yeah.
to. Anyone in the
impossible.
car business has heard of Michelin too, because
Yeah.
they actually started off with tires.
Tires,
They
yeah.
started off
Yeah,
with tires.
yeah.
Really, how it worked was basically they set up their garages or their workshops, and they would say like, this is where you come to get your tire, and they set up a guide to basically say to people like, okay, if you're coming to get a tire here, if we give it 1 star, 1 star is like, we think you should go to this place.
Yeah.
And they gave it over. If we give it 2 stars, it's worth driving even further to come to this place. And if we give it 3 stars, it's worth like a journey to a different country.
Yeah.
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 So that's basically like the theme of how they set it up. I don't think they were expecting to get to where they were, and now it's basically the standard in how people rate restaurants.
Yeah.
And also even how you
100%.
approach those restaurants. Like, for example, I mean, I love what we do, you know, and I take a lot of pride in what we do, and I know we put out a great product. But I'm not going to travel to another state just to eat there. And I use an example. I went to Chicago a couple of years ago. Cool city. I love it. And there's a restaurant there called Alinea.
Oh, I love the linear.
Yes.
Grant
and
Achatz.
Of course, it was so last second. I'm the idiot that said, maybe I get a reservation the day before I actually go. So I called, and they were like, no, we're booked. But I said to myself, I was like, this was such an easy flight, and it was so inexpensive. I would literally make a reservation just for this restaurant because I want to experience it.
Yeah.
And then book the flight around whenever my reservation is.
That's cool.
Come back the
That's
same
cool.
day.
The whole trip is
Right.
built around this
I mean,
experience in this
would
restaurant.
I like to
That's
think
pretty
people
cool.
would fly to a different state for PAX? Yeah, it'd be awesome.
One day.
You know,
Yeah.
they drive. We get it from Jersey, Connecticut.
But people
but
do
just-
travel
yeah.
for dining experiences all the
100%.
They
time.
will.
I just
They will.
traveled across the whole country
Yeah.
for dining experiences. But
100%.
to speak on Grant Achatz, if anyone doesn't know Grant Achatz and the Alinea, he also set the Avery, which is like one of the best cocktail bars in the world. He's actually a chef who suffered from throat cancer. And he spent a long time where he actually couldn't taste his own food. And he actually got awarded his stars while being unable to taste food. So that's one of the things that really separates Grant.
God bless.
Is actually that. I have a couple of his books at home, but basically he had to learn to achieve certain things inside culinary arts without being able to taste. Now, obviously, you could taste for a long time before it, but anyone who, like you said, it's like when you're doing Italian food, there's not mightn't be a direct way to get to this point, but you got to know when you're at the point.
Right.
But this guy, he's a great chef. He basically knew how to get to the point, even if
Crazy.
he couldn't smell or taste
Wow.
because of
Wow.
his sickness.
Was it
That's
the
how-
Anne
he
Frank?
got over it.
Seriously.
Is that
Pretty
right?
much.
Okay, that's crazy. But just touching your point again, Paul, I feel like when people travel, one of the things that you want to do when you travel to a certain space is try the food in the area.
100%, yeah.
Dan just went to Texas. He tried, was Terry Black's?
Terry Black's.
Terry Black's
Best barbecue I've ever had.
So while you're in the space,
dream about it.
Where is it?
I dream.
in
Austin.
Yeah,
Austin.
somewhere like
Man, Terry
Never been.
Black's is like the not all of, but it's one of the standards set for barbecue in America. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I didn't just travel to get there. I was doing a trip across America. So basically, like I hit all the states I could on the way over and all the states I could on the way back. But I made it a point to get to Terry Black's in Austin because I knew, like, if I want to try barbecue, you got to try Terry Black's.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it makes sense. You
100%.
go to Philly, you want to try the best Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah,
You go to New
Jim's,
York,
South
you want to
Street.
try the best pizza. You go to Mexico, you want to try the
John's
best
and Bleecker,
tacos.
respectfully.
John's and Bleecker.
Oh yeah.
There's what's the
Incredible.
debate? There's
Which
like
is
John's and then there's like Sal's. Is it Sal's is one?
What are we talking?
Are we
The
going
best
just the
pizza- the
city
best
or in
pizza.
general?
Pizza. What's the best pizza? What do you feel? Well, buy Pax. Let's boycott Pax's pizza.
Well, we have a very different pizza.
I know you have a special
Yeah.
type
Yes.
of pizza.
And we should definitely get into that after. But
we can.
Yeah.
I mean, I love New York style pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Neapolitan too. It's the original from Naples. Everything else beautiful, but I actually like New York pizza better.
Are you a Prince? I seen you hit Prince Street.
I
Sometimes,
do like
right?
Prince Street. fan of their Sicilian with the pepperoni cups. If I'm going just for a regular slice, yeah, John's a bleaker, but they close so early. So by the time I get out, they're usually closed. But huge fan. One that stays open super late, even throughout COVID, and brilliant on their part, was Joe's.
I love Joe's. Man, I was going to say
Awesome.
they're my favorite.
Great slice, very consistent.
You got the 14th Street and you got the one in
Yeah.
the West Village.
That's the one I usually go to, is
Yeah.
the West Village. Incredible. If I'm staying in Westchester, I mean, yeah, Sal's is in Mamaroneck has always been known for the Sicilian. It's great. Johnny's in Mount Vernon, phenomenal.
Yeah, I hear great things. Did Johnny's
yeah.
get like 9.6 on?
Let's ask the Mexican
From,
guy. What's your favorite pizza?
Barstool.
I would say Archie Grand, and I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it was kind of nice.
Yeah,
I'm not-
you like the
yeah,
Archie?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta
I'm
try
not
it.
gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the mozzarella slice. It was okay. It was okay. And I don't
know we're
really
having lunch
eat
now.
pizza that much.
So,
and it
Would
was
you
good.
like that?
For all the Mexicans out there, you go to Archie Grand
Yeah.
for your pizza.
Yeah, but not
And
for
if
your
you're
taco.
Italian, we'll go to Pax.
So, Paul, let's touch a little bit on the Pinsa. So,
Yes.
quick backstory. So, me and Paul goes to this food event about 2 months ago. It was a Meals on Wheels charity event.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is catered around all these well-known chefs in the area, bringing
Yeah.
a little dish, samba platters, like a mixer, essentially.
Michelin level.
Yeah,
chefs
Daniel
too.
Balud
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
Whole 9 yards.
All these
I
faces.
was very jealous when I seen you guys posting
Should've
that.
paid.
It was delicious. So we go in. Paul, being the gentleman that he is, he's like saying hello to everybody. You know what's going on here. I'm starving, so I do a whole loop
around the whole
before
Yes.
before
man
Paul's
from
like
the
a quarter
cabin.
way through. Yeah, straight in. So anyway, I go back to Paul. I'm like, yo, how far did you get? He's like, I only got to here. I was like, I tried everything, and he goes, what's your favorite? I says, man, I really like this Pinsa. And Paul turns around and he says, who has Pinsa? I'm the only one that has Pinsa. I was like, yo, chill, Paul. What the hell is going on?
Can you
with
see
you?"
the vein
He's
in my
like,
neck?
no. He's like, you don't understand. I'm the only one that has Pinsa. Where is it? And I was like, okay, it's over here. So anyway-
Jimmy B didn't know what he had just stepped into.
no idea. So anyway, Paul comes back to me later on, and then he explains the whole Pinsa. And Paul, do you want to explain what the Pinsa is?
It was very accurate.
Yeah, it was very,
Very
intense.
accurate.
He was like
It's
on
intense,
his, he was
yeah.
on his phone, or he was like
It's on my
tasting
beans,
something,
holding it
and then
up,
as soon as he
and
heard
smoke
Pinsa, he
coming
just
out
like
of it.
turned around. And he's like, "Who has Pinsa?"
Yeah, I was in shock.
Yeah.
You know? And so our chef from the original restaurant, still a very good friend of ours, he was the one that actually introduced it to us. He was born and raised in Rome. He came here to the States in probably 2007. Young guy, you know, very relatable, clicked with us right away. And he had said to us, he goes, hey, there's this style of pizza that's coming out of Rome. And obviously we're a Roman restaurant, more so Roman. We should contact the distributor, get a bag of the flour, learn how to make it and see if it'll stick. All right, cool. So we did. We ended up getting it, tried it out, and I'm like, okay, it was like, this is awesome. Obviously in a market that's so saturated, especially in New York with, you know, pizza, like, you still know you're eating pizza, but at least it's different enough to, you know, set yourself apart and create a new experience. Still approachable, but different. Cool. So it's a proprietary blend. It's a mix of soy, wheat, rice, and sourdough flour. It already comes blended to the correct ratio. So we had the flour imported. We'd make the dough from scratch. We still do. And then there was a fermentation process of 72 hours that the dough itself would have to undergo before it was prepared for consumption. Creates a super, super light, easy pizza to eat. So, and
Very fluffy.
very. And also healthier. I hate, and this is just people's perception, and I hate it, but I never market it as healthy because people generally associate healthy with like no flavor or shit or this or that. So I usually let them eat it first, and then I think, oh, by the way, hey, this is healthy. And it's like, oh shit, it's like this is great, and it's healthy. Like, all right, cool. But we were the first on the East Coast, and I want to say at the time, maybe third or fourth in the country that we were doing it, but also certified by the distributor in Rome for following the correct guidelines in order to serve it. Now, I want to say maybe throughout the country, I couldn't imagine more than 10, you know, but I think the few spaces in New York, either they've heard of it or they heard of us doing it because it got pushed at, you know, it was now being covered by all these places, these publications. So maybe it put a little bird told him something. Oh, hey, let's try this too. A couple opened up in Brooklyn, but I don't know how it worked out for them if they're still there. I think one or two of them still are. So when we were at this event, and you were like, "Oh, there's Pinsa here," and that's why I was like,
Yeah, you look like you're about to kill somebody.
"Yeah." And then I went over and I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" And had
Yeah,
some
If you want pins, you go to
through me.
Pax.
yeah.
And I approached him like a gentleman because he seemed like a nice guy, and he did turn out to be a nice guy. And then we were talking. I was like, "How did you hear of it?" And then he said, "But you look very familiar too. Like, where are you from?" I was like, "Well, I own Pax Romana in White Plains." He goes, "Oh yeah, I came there to eat. That's how I actually got to know about this." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
So
I was
he,
like, "All right,
so
yeah,
he
yeah,
modeled.
sure."
He modeled it.
It's the highest form of flattery, though, right?
Incredible, yeah. And I'm not opposed to. I mean, I would love it to become more mainstream, and I think it's great. I forgot what restaurant he was with that was doing it, but I was happy to see that they were doing it. But yeah, super special to us. We were able to again differentiate ourselves another way, make some noise with it, and now it's a staple of what we do.
Now, is this a traditional
It's a good
Roman style
cappuccino
dish?
for an Irishman.
It's a latte, bro.
Oh.
Is it-
There's
yeah.
a lot of foam on this for just a latte.
Listen, it's a lot of love. It's a lot of love. But is the Pinsa, is it a traditional style Roman pizza or is it a relatively new thing?
I think the process of preparing it is more Roman, but I've heard mixed. I hear it's like an ancient way of making it, and then someone says it's relatively new. It's like one of those things, there's no clear-cut evidence. Like, same thing like fettuccine Alfredo. They're like, no, that's New York made that. And it's like, no, some guy Alfredo in Italy made it, for his wife who was sick, and he put cream and butter. And it's like, there's no clear-cut.
And she's lived forever.
Yeah, and everyone
Yeah.
fights over it. Right. Yeah, she's still living to this
She's
day,
still living.
200 years later. But so there's no clear-cut, I guess, evidence showing one or the other. But it's great, so we stick with it.
Nice.
So
I think it's good that you guys have that, and I feel like more people
Yeah.
should know this. More people should
agree.
know that
Yeah.
Pax Romano is one of the only places on the East Coast that serves this style of pizza.
Well, at the time. Now there's a few more, like I
A
said.
few more, but
few
like
more.
what, like 10?
Bringing
At
it to
best.
the East Coast,
At
baby.
best.
Bring it right
East
to White
Coast all
Plains.
day. New
But
York.
question for you. So besides Italian food, just
Yeah.
from being in New York, we have such a wide selection of food, right?
Yeah.
So you're going around to the city. Let's say you're in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, wherever you're at, right? Mexican food. What's your favorite place?
Mexican?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be fancy, or it can be Michelin star, or it can be street food. But all right, for our cocktail of the week, we have a So Raspy, which is a cocktail on our new menu
That looks
that's
beautiful.
coming out. It's a
Suppy.
Chambord, Mr. Black, and a Verna for the Italians. Yeah, made by.
Aren't you half Italian?
Yeah, don't tell anybody that. I'm trying to run with the Irish thing over here. Yeah, my family, my grandmother is actually.
Yeah, come on. That's
She's
big.
Italian Florence.
All
But,
right, cheers, gentlemen. Let's see what we get.
Let's taste this and see where we're at. Cheers.
Cheers, my guys. Thank you.
Sláinte.
Oh. It's an experience and a drink. It just
Yeah.
evolves.
Yeah, a little bit of the raspberry from the Chambord.
So good.
Coffee and the Averna is nice and actually. Anyone who wants an espresso martini, but they're sick of the general classic, basic bitch espresso martini.
What are you saying?
Come check out this guy. No, So raspy like the bartender who made it, Marlon. Cheers.
It reminds me of like a
Yeah,
cake.
genius.
they're like Black Forest Scallop.
So the specs
Love
for
it.
it are it's 1 ounce of Mr. Black, 3/4 ounces of Averna, and a 1/2 ounce of Chambord,
good.
an ounce of espresso, a tiny drop of sugar, and then it's just shaken, served in a coupe, a nice frothy head, and a raspberry to garnish it. And that's it.
Nice.
But let's get on to the Mexican food. So, you have any favorites?
I don't often go out to eat, like sit down for Mexican, but one that I actually stumbled across, and apparently have been around for a long time, and a lot of people are drawn to them. It's more of a fast casual spot, actually here in White Plains. It's Taqueria La Frontera.
Right.
Awesome. So I was eating there often enough.
Where's this guy?
Go COVID. I only ordered it for takeout. I actually don't know where the exact location is.
And it's here in White Plains.
Yeah. And
The mystery spot. We gotta find
Cateria.
it.
yeah, and it was great. So, like I said, fast casual. I don't think they have any dine-in at all.
Wow.
I think
But-
it's in front of like Ron Black, O'Connor's actually. Is
Could
it?
be.
The new place is open?
Yeah. Wait, but you said you
No.
ordered in the
Yeah,
in
no,
the
that's
pandemic.
not it.
Yeah, let me see. Actually, I can
Where
look
is
it up real
this?
quick.
My favorite, and
professional,
I actually
going right on my
spoke
phone.
to Tony about this, is Los Taco Uno.
Yeah, Los Tacos Números Unos. It's really,
Yeah.
really nice. I don't usually like cactus tacos, but they do it really.
Oh, it's
really
on
good.
Battle Avenue.
Is it
Battle
that
Ave?
one?
That's way
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But no, I've never.
You gotta
heard of
check
that
it out.
place.
yeah,
crazy.
it's great.
But Los Tacos Uno,
That
or
I've heard.
Numero Uno,
Heard it's
man, you gotta
incredible.
check it out. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah.
like,
Really, really
I'm walking
nice.
down the street, and it's definitely street food. Like they only
Yeah,
serve
lit.
like 3 items. Me and James are walking down the street. We're walking out of Grand Central. We're on the way to go to a convention for White Label down the city, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm like, wait.
Breakfast.
Stop. I'm like, I can smell something that I know. And I'm sniffing them in the air. And I'm like, and I look around and I'm like, Los Taco Uno
He's like,
opened up by Grand Central.
smells
I didn't
some
know.
Mexican.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Jimmy B, we got to stop. And James is like, no, the size of the queue. And I'm like, no, the queue moves fast, man. The queue moves fast.
It did move pretty quick.
Yeah, they
The line
only
was,
do
like,
like 3
outside.
items and they're banging it out. But
Yeah.
I see, I'm not the guy to tell you where Mexican food's good. But
Yeah.
I reference to the Mexican guy.
Yeah.
And when
No,
Tony
it's-
tells me,
It was good. Yeah.
I gotta check
what,
it
what
out.
was
Really good.
what was your experience there, Tony?
It was really, really nice, and yeah, it does move fast, and their menu is not as big. And
They're
I
better.
don't like cactus, but they do it really, really nice.
I didn't try the cactus, but the steak and the chicken tacos in there are banging.
Yeah, yeah,
Banging.
yeah.
But funny enough,
Right
about
to the chicken and the steak. What a white boy.
right, straight in there.
There was some pork there, though.
Yeah, yeah.
There was. I had pork too. I liked the pork and pineapple. But man, their steak.
Al
I can-
pastor.
El pastor.
Al pastor.
The steak they have is just whatever way they season it.
Yeah, it really goes to show that you don't have to have a large menu. Like in reality, they really serve like 4 things. They serve cactus, chicken,
Right.
steak,
Yeah.
and pork, and then they do all of those items in taco style and in quesadilla style.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you really serve 4
I
things
prefer the smaller menu.
because
I
you know
hate
they've
the
refined
long-
it.
First off, I don't want to read through all this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
one.
hear.
And
Yeah.
2, how the hell are you keeping all this fresh?
Yeah, you're
How's it
not.
even
You're
possible?
not.
Yeah, and if
not.
you're doing
Yeah.
4 items really well,
Yeah.
then you're killing it.
Yeah.
4 amazing items over 10 mediocre items
Yeah.
over 20 subpar items any day of the week.
Yeah.
I was in a diner a couple of days ago,
I'm just
and-
using those numbers.
and I get to like the 3rd page, and I'm like, oh god, they got so much. And then I'm like, wait, there's a 4th page. I'm like, oh no, there's a 5th page.
You got a Bible in
Oh
the
my
menu.
god, there's stuff in the back.
Right.
I was like, what am I gonna have?
It works
like,
for
"That's too
them.
much."
It works for the tacos numero uno just because they're so
good.
small and busy.
Yeah.
They're so busy. So
Yeah.
like you just got
They
5
got one in
items, so-
Chelsea Market, man.
Proof you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
out the door.
Yeah.
But something that we wanted to ask you was, right? So you're whether it's from being in the hospitality industry or not, it's just
Uh-oh.
yeah, it's
He has a grin on his, he has a
because
grin
it's
on
a
his
funny
face.
one.
I don't know
Jimmy
where
B
this
was
is
the one
going.
who said this. Is like, you got any funny stories for us for pregnancy scares?
That was a Tony idea.
Yeah.
Is
That
it
was a
Tony
Tony
idea?
Yeah, it was a
Have
Tony
I
idea.
ever
Big brain.
been with somebody that had a pregnancy
No,
scare?
no.
Well, no,
Have you had
yeah.
any? So all right, I'll start it off. Right?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give
yeah.
you,
Give me an example.
I'll give you my pregnancy scare. Right. So I'm like 15. Right.
God.
First time I was ever with a
and
girl.
you got pregnant.
Man, I'm still pregnant, right? First time I'm ever with a girl, right? So, just so you know, right, in Ireland there's a saying, and I'm sure it's in a lot of places as well, but it's touch wood. Right? You touch on wood when you say something that you
Oh.
don't want to happen for good luck,
Like,
right?
like
So,
knock on wood,
say
yeah.
this is a little piece of stick.
Yeah.
Basically, I was very, very superstitious, and every time I thought of something, I'd have to touch on wood. And it got like OD, right? So now I'm like running around
wood
looking for
everywhere,
wood. Like I'll be walking down the street
Yeah.
and I'm like running to look for wood.
That's like
Looking for
So-
trees.
Literally, right? So I meet this girl, whatever happens, my mother is out of the house, she's at work. After a while of talking to her, you know, we end up deciding that both of us, it was our first time that we're going to sleep together, right?
Okay.
So we sleep together, use protection, no problems. Basically, like after that, me and the girl talked a little bit, it fizzled out, never really went anywhere. The girl, like after 2 weeks, told me she was pregnant. I'm like 15-year-old kid.
No.
So I'm like,
Ready to
oh
be a
no,
dad,
she's
let's go."
pregnant, right? So I can't, every night I can't stop thinking about this. I have to keep getting up out of my
Naturally,
bed
yeah.
to touch on wood, right? I'm like, oh no, touch on wood. I'll get back into bed, I go to sleep, oh, touch on wood. So eventually
Freaking
I
out.
started breaking off little pieces of stick and keeping it in my sock, right? So that I would always be touching wood. When I thought about it, like, it's okay, I have a stick in my sock,
Yeah.
right? And this basically, right?
Walking around with fucking
15-year-old
wood in the
logics. Follow the science.
Oh
right?
my god.
So basically, what happens is, after like she keeps this going for like 7-8 months. I think this girl's pregnant.
Are you
Jesus,
serious?
Yeah.
7 months?
After that,
It hasn't changed in size though at all.
I had never seen her, right? Like she
Oh.
just was like trolling me. So eventually, I like get a girlfriend and I stay with that girl from a young age for like years because I was like traumatized, I'd say, from like this. I never wanted to be with anyone again who I couldn't like trust. But so I get this stick, I keep it in my sock. A year and a half later, I end up with this thing for like 3-4 years. Anyone who grew up with me knows I had a stick in my sock for like 3 years, right? Every day I'd have a stick in my sock going to school, stick in my
Oh my
sock at
God.
night.
Was it
My
the same stick or you
That's
get like a new
hilarious.
recycled
first stick was there for a long time.
Ah.
Then when I lost it, I was like, oh, cool, get another stick, right? Eventually my mother would be like finding a stick in my sock. Like, you know, this was like a known thing. So that was my pregnancy scare. And I that's honestly, it's the only one I ever had. Pull-out game was on point after that. You know, never
Eventually,
really had to worry
Dana
about
moved
it.
to the States
My pull-out
and
game
he
was
left the
weak.
baby with a girl.
So, Tony,
All right, so mine is kind of silly. All right, I told the lads this before we started today, but so I was in middle school, right? Keep in mind, I didn't have a father, so no one taught me, you know, the tips and tricks of being with girls. So so basically, this girl wanted to touch me in my private area. And she did, and then I touched my private
the
myself.
fiend.
Yeah, right. And then I had like some like kind of like liquid coming out, and I was like, "What the fuck
Liquid?
is this?" Yeah, liquid.
What do you mean by liquid?
Like pre-cum. and then basically
blood.
I
Right to
touched
the blood.
I touched myself, right? And then I touched her, like, but over her pants, right? And then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm an idiot. Like, I was like, I'm gonna get this bitch pregnant. And like, yeah, I thought that, you know, I did something horrible.
so
but
you thought that your sperm was so strong
Yeah.
that you could like just touch
Basically.
a girl. Tony's just walking up to random girls and just patting them
Yeah.
and they're pregnant.
bah, bah, bah. Leave little Tonys everywhere.
Jimmy B, how about you?
There's two to come to mind. However, I'm only going to tell you one.
That's fair enough.
That's one. So mine is actually pretty straightforward. So one of the first girls I actually started dating when I came to America was part of Lord of the Dance. If anybody's familiar with Riverdance, she used to be part of that crew. And this girl was so petite because obviously she's a dancer. So, you know, they're obviously on a strict regimen, a strict diet, that kind of thing. And obviously, you know, we're knocking boots. And and then about a month goes by and she's stressed because of work and she's not really eating anyway. So then she's like, oh, I missed my period. I'm like, I'm sorry, what now? And she's like, yeah, I missed my period, but I think it's just stress. I'm like, okay, well, I hope to God it's stress. You know what I mean? I'm calling, whatever. But anyway, another month goes by. I'm like, okay, it should be coming soon. And then a month goes by. Yeah, I didn't get it. I was like, what do you
No
mean?
shot.
She was like, I missed my period. I was like,
Better
oh my
find
God,
it.
this fucking yeah.
Looking for that.
Find it right now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
funny.
good. Yeah,
Christ.
So I think it dragged out for 3 months. And by this stage, I have already like come to terms with it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a dad. Like I'm getting ready. Okay, I'm gonna call my parents as soon as I get confirmation. As soon as I see the ultrasound, I'm calling them. And then, listen, thankfully this was just a scare. But the whole time I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? I was like rocking in my chair like this. I'm like, yo, you better find it.
You should have put a stick in your sock.
Hilarious.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Do I have
God.
any?
it was hard.
My mother's gonna listen to this.
I know.
That's okay. I guess I have maybe 2, maybe 3 that come to mind.
You dog.
The first one, was actually when I lost my virginity.
Yo, virginity scare.
Always.
Oldest trick in the book.
So
I bet you didn't have a stick in your shoe though.
no,
He had
but I
rigatoni
was,
in his socks.
I was in my truck in a field, so I had plenty of trees around.
Yeah.
Rigatoni.
Yeah.
So actually, the very, very first time when I lost my virginity, I was so scared. I was, strapped. I had a condom on. I was so scared of finishing too quick because I didn't know what to expect that I didn't finish at all. And I was, what the fuck? I was like, you're good. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this thing now? And now I got to finish like I have been since puberty? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on?
The sock comes off.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, shit. I was like, all right. So then, whatever. Call it a night because now I'm just pissed off. That very next day, go back to the same spot in the field, in my truck, do it again. I was like, no, now I'm fucking hell-bent on getting this done the correct way for myself.
Got to reach the finish line.
Yes. So then, we start and everything, but I'm like, come on. I was like, but I feel like when you psych yourself out so much, that's what's preventing it.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, I know this is a risk. We're not supposed to do this, but can I, take this off and just put it and see how it feels? She's like, she goes, all right. 'Cause I think it was her virginity, too. That's what it was. So I was like, all right. So then, take it off. But I was like, wow. I was like, this is totally different. But, then I went a little bit. Then
Never
I was
going
I got
back.
nervous. I was like, oh, God. Put another one back on. And I actually eventually did finish. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, this worked. Fine. Then I was like, oh, no. I was like, I fucking did it without a condom, though. I was like,
Of course.
does that mean anything? I freaked. So of course, I go right on Google. I'm like, can you get, can you make someone
Dude,
pregnant?
Google's the worst.
Worst.
Google is
And I
the
was like, yeah,
worst.
even with-
Oh my goodness.
Even with pre-cum and this and that, you can still get some. I was like, oh my God. I was like, she's fucking pregnant. That's it.
Yeah.
Gonna have a
That's
kid
it. Yeah.
now. I'm gonna be a dad.
Yeah.
What do I do?
They do make it out to be like the percentage
Yes.
chance of you getting pregnant is like 120.
Right.
Like
Man.
if you look at them wrong way,
Yeah.
Right,
pregnant.
guaranteed.
Man,
Yeah.
when I was in Ireland growing up, or else maybe it was a different era, I thought you just got people pregnant. That's it. Now it's like, seems people are trying real hard. Sperm count's down miles, right? Sperm count must be like
Yep.
rock bottom because people are trying to get people pregnant like crazy.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, it was like, oh no, she's pregnant.
Yeah, think back to Genghis Khan. That guy couldn't miss.
Couldn't
He had,
miss.
Fucking 10,000 kids.
Right.
He's like,
So how
couldn't
did it
miss. Like, quick
Let's-
fire.
Well, it turned out she wasn't pregnant, thankfully. She never even said she was or anything. It was just me in my own head being an
anxiety.
idiot.
That's what they say,
The stress
right?
is
Yeah.
real.
That like your problems are 99% caused by the thought of your mind.
Yeah.
1% is reality and 99% is your mind.
Yeah, that's true. And then I guess the close second, you're mid through and then have one on. And said, are you good? She said, yeah, I'm good. And then, so I was like, all right, so I finish. And then she's like, where did you come? I was like, you said you were good, didn't you? She goes, I wasn't saying I was good because of that. I was saying it was good because
We're having
it
sex.
felt good. Yeah, and I was like, why the hell would I ask you that? Like, oh, hey, does it feel good? No, I'm
Yeah.
asking if you're good, meaning you're on pill, because I'm going to finish soon.
Yeah.
And I want to know if you're good, if I'm safe.
Yeah.
Is that not an uncommon question?
The gray
She
area,
goes,
man.
no. She goes, I'm not on birth control, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, my God. I was like, what am I now? Again, I'm going to be a dad.
Straight
What
to
the fuck's
CBS.
going on?
Straight in the car. We're going.
I didn't tell her that, but she did that. She's like, I'm going to CBS. I'm getting Plan B. I support you. Whatever you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to do. I'm glad you're choosing this route, but I support it either way.
Oh, God.
And that one had me sweating for at least a month till she finally got period. That was a bad one. Then maybe one other. That was it.
Maybe one of them.
Yeah. The other one.
That's it.
Maybe.
Paul, the man of many scares.
Oh, no,
Three
it's gonna be
scares.
real.
3 scares.
3 strikes and you're out. That's
One,
it.
but like 2, I feel legitimate. The first one, in hindsight, is not legitimate.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at
not
the time,
legit.
it
But
was
at
the
the
most
time,
legitimate.
It was the
It's
scariest
mostly-
thing in my life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm 16. I'm going to be a dad. What am I going to do? Am I going to support him?
Oh God.
Got to put him through college or her. It depends.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Hopefully.
You're already see that you're already jumping like 18 years
What if
ahead.
she
It's like,
gets
oh, how am I going to pay
pregnant?
for college? Oh,
Sorry,
God.
Mas.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
I promise I'm a respectful individual.
We're all respectful. Honestly, I think when you really look at it, would it be the worst thing to happen?
No,
You know,
I mean,
like any of my friends who had kids
Seems
young,
like it at the time,
At
but
the
it's
time, right? At the time, I thought they were like, oh, the end of their life, and now I'm like, yo, but they got like a 7-year-old kid, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish I kind of had a 7-year-old kid now.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll love kids one day. Got to keep the bloodline going, you know.
Yeah, of course.
It's all about the
And
lineage.
we're all kind of getting around to that age too, where it's
know.
something that starts.
This business though
Tony.
it screws you. That's a.
Yeah.
I mean, that's. I don't know if that's a topic you want to talk about. I don't know how much time we have, but this business kind of like screws you.
In what way?
Yeah, I think we should delve into this a little bit. What do you reckon?
What are you telling me? You have time?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I do feel like it's very difficult, not impossible, but to like start new relationships in this business. One, temptation is out there, this and that, but also the way the world is and this and social media, everything. It's kind of thrown a wrench into everything traditional. Fine, I'm not saying I'm free from doing any of that, but it kind of like makes you numb. You know, it's
Yes.
hard to kind of find something because you just come across so many people and you see so many different types of personalities and everything, and it's almost like you're looking for like the next thrill. And not that I don't feel like I'm a difficult person to please, but it just becomes so repetitive that you almost become not bored. I don't really know the
No,
correct word.
I completely agree
No.
with you to the point
Yeah.
where it's like,
Oh, hey, do you want to hang out later? I'm like, no, I'm tired. I want to go home. What do you mean, no?
yeah.
I'm tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
This
And-
last week and the week before that. The week before that.
Right. When I when I was younger, right, I was like maybe 23 or 24.
Yeah.
I spent every day I had off on a date. Every day.
Yeah.
Like anytime I had a day off, I was lining up a date like it was going to be the person who I'd meet and stay with. And then I realized after a full year doing that I had spent every one of my days off with people who are completely irrelevant to me, who I'm never going to speak to again. And like most of these people I didn't sleep with, some of them I did, but the reality was like it was complete empty waste of my time. And then after that I got to a point where I was like, right, like everybody wants to have fun, everybody wants to enjoy themselves, everybody has
Yeah.
their needs, but I completely agree with you. It's like, how many people can you really meet before you decide that it's like most people
Right.
it's the same?
Yeah.
And if it's you're waiting for something to really pop out at you, and realistically, it's like you've become numb in a certain sense because you've met so many people that it's like that experience is not new to you like it is
No.
to most people.
Right.
So you're not going to get that same initial feeling. It's like getting on a roller coaster. If you get on a roller coaster, every day, you work in a theme park, you get on a roller coaster every day for 7 years. Very few roller coasters will ever make you feel like,
same
oh,
thrill.
wow. You're just
I
going to be
know.
like, okay, so I'm just going to sit here until this thing stops again. You know?
It confuses people too. They're like, oh, so you're impossible to please then. Like, no, okay, let's not be dramatic. I'm not impossible to please. But you need to understand that, like, yeah, you ride that same roller coaster enough times, roller coasters aren't going to have necessarily the
effect.
same thrill. Yeah, you're still going to ride them because,
Everybody
again,
loves
you're
a
only
roller
human.
coaster.
Yeah. But it's just different. But then also, you're a restaurant guy. That's always, oh, you're a restaurant guy.
Yeah.
Here we go. You don't even know anything about me. What
Yeah.
do you mean?
Yeah.
So you're a restaurant guy. That's number one. Two, even if it starts, you come across a lot of people. You're entertaining and this and that. Why the hell were you talking to those girls for so long? Because they're eating at my restaurant. What
it's
do
my
you
job.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the trust on top of it. I was like saying, well, we gotta do a conversation. I'm checking in, see
And
how
then
they're
you
doing.
get to the problem
Yeah.
of, right, what people in general are given to each other nowadays is not exactly what is traditional, say.
Yeah.
And if you've gotten that enough times, you don't see value in it anymore.
Right.
Like it's very hard to gain value from what people are giving each other nowadays, especially if you've forgotten it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And now you're at a point where it's like, right, I see right through a lot of bullshit sometimes when
Easily.
it comes to
Forget it.
you know, when I see someone who just wants attention, and
Yes,
I'm like,
on
right, you
top
might
of
get
it.
attention from everybody in here,
Right.
but I'm not going to give you attention.
No.
And what can you give me after attention?
Right.
Like, right, am I going to be able to give you attention for the next 20 years? Because like when you look at your grandparents, your grandfather's not giving your grandmother attention for the last 20. He might be loving and caring and loyal,
Sure.
but what I mean
Different.
is like the level of attention that people require nowadays is completely different, and what they expect from each other
Right.
is not.
Especially with social media and everything.
Yeah,
else.
that's, a good,
That's
I was just
exactly
gonna
it.
mention that point.
And
Yeah.
then the
How
level
we
of attention
perceived by
that
everyone else.
exactly
Always.
the level of attention that they
Both
got.
even
Yeah.
myself.
Crazy.
Everybody is,
Yeah.
but it's you're a product of your environment. The
Right.
level of attention that people require nowadays. Like if you think about a long time ago, right? Your mother and father, when they first met, they might have spoke like twice a week,
Yeah,
once a week. Like, where are you meeting me?
Yeah.
I'm meeting you at the tree.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially in
meeting-
Ireland, anyway, 100%.
But we're meeting on Thursday. We're going to go out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then that's it till next Thursday. Now it's like constant interaction.
You haven't
with
texted me
someone.
in 10 minutes. What the
Exactly.
hell's going
Yeah,
on?
yeah,
Where are you?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like you didn't reply to me, and it's like because I
Taking
know
my
where you
morning
are,
shit. I don't
and I
know.
know what you're doing, and I know you were there yesterday, and I know what you did there yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like there's not much vagueness anymore. Whereas like it used to actually be like conversation that you might want to know. You might be like, so what have you done in the last week? You might actually be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
well, you
now
haven't-
it's
you
like
You have
haven't
things
spoke
to
to him in a
catch
whole-
up on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you haven't
You
spoke to
You
him a
know,
whole
and you
week.
look
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
And now they've taken that part of dating, and then there's a million
If
other
you're
people.
interested, talk to me once a week.
Yeah.
And you'll be good.
Exactly. And then there's a million other people now who do want to speak to you, who don't know, who do want attention, but they only need that from you initially. And then once they,
Power.
right, then once they realize, oh, I've actually, right, you can be dating a girl for 2 years and you can be like, right, I know what you do every second of every day.
Yeah.
But there's 10 million dudes out there trying to get her attention on Instagram, or guys, vice
Sliding
versa. It
those
works
DMs.
both. Exactly.
Yeah.
It works both ways, where it's like they're interested, but they're only going to be interested until you talk every second of every day for the next 2 years. And then eventually you're going to realize I know what you're doing on a Thursday at this time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know what's happening in your life. If you can come back to me with one thing at the end of every day that's actually like worth conversation, we're lucky. Realistically, most people, like you ask me what happened every day. I came to work, I went to the gym, I got showered, I went back to work. And now I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm doing every day. Whereas, like, if I'm sitting texting you every 10 minutes, sure, where do we have any room for,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah, and just to touch on Paul's point, because this is such a social environment, your social energy is drained by the time you go home. So if you do go home to your significant other at crazy o'clock at night, and they just so happen to be awake, you're just sitting on the couch and you're like,
Fuck off.
I'm just done. Like, I'm sorry, I'm done. Like, all my
Yes.
emotional, all my
Oh my
social
God, my
energy is
alone
just
time
completely
is
spent.
Yeah.
Gold.
I just need to go home.
Gold.
Huh?
The alone time is absolute
Yeah, it's.
gold.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I wouldn't give up
Absolute
that hour in the
Yeah.
evening for nothing.
I
Yeah.
feel
Like,
sorry
there's no
for
way I can do
Tony
it.
right now. Because
Why?
Tony's sitting there, like, we're a little bit older than you.
Oh, yeah.
And you're sort of part of a younger generation.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to go through what we're going through in this industry.
Yeah.
But yet you're doing that at an even more connected level, or
Yeah.
like where people require, like your age group requires even more attention.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
100%.
So it's like, I don't know how I'd feel about dating a girl who's spending her whole day TikToking. You know? And like
Yeah.
most likely the girls that, what age are you now, Tony?
22.
You're
I'm
22.
not
Yeah.
22.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine dating a 22-year-old girl. He's going to be dating maybe a
Take the
20-year-old girl.
DiCaprio route.
Yeah, right? But you can
Five.
see that ends
Yeah.
quick.
Done.
Yeah. And that's what
Nah,
I'm saying.
yeah, but
It's funny.
it's really annoying because I have been with people like that, and because I'm so young and in this environment, I kind of understand. I'm like kind of with you guys, right? But other people that aren't working in this industry, that are my age, other men,
That's why it's important to be in this industry.
yeah, exactly.
Teaches you.
And then
Yeah.
they
Back to the
do
original point.
understand that, like, oh, give me attention, give me attention. No, I want my peace because I am here giving my energy to these people, and I want to because they're our guests and they come here. But yeah, I do understand that. Like, I do want my peace, and when I do get people like that, like, oh, give me attention, you know, like ask about my day, I'm like, no, I don't want to. Give me an hour, give me 2 hours. I want to chill, you know.
I wish I had $1 for every time. Oh, like I said, you're a restaurant guy. Okay.
Oh man.
Got it all figured out already, don't
Oh,
you?
you're a bartender.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've heard, "Oh, you're a bartender."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you work at a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you work at a bar.
Or the people's perception is that this is just a party 24/7. There's nothing else.
But the
Yeah.
We
reality.
make food and we make drinks and we serve it and everyone's
Yeah.
and there's nothing else that goes into it. Oh, you should do this, this, and that. Everyone's a crit. Everyone
And
knows
then they just see
exactly what
Paul
you should
sweeping
do.
the floor.
Yeah. But it's like there's the flip of it. Like, you could be with me with the highs. There are plenty of highs. There's also plenty of lows. You got to be with me for the lows too.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
could sit. You know, you think we're gonna sit at the bar all night and we're gonna drink and everyone's gonna come say hi to us. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. You know, so
Yeah,
on
like
so-
you're in Goodfellas.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
always use that casino as the example. They didn't watch the end of Casino, did you? But it's true. You know, they think, oh, you know, I'm living this life. It happens, absolutely. But there's a lot of lows too. You know, you got to ride the wave. It's another roller coaster. You know, this business is volatile. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even when you're way up, it could change within an hour. Not even. By tomorrow, it could be totally different. You know, there's so many. But like I guess like any business, there's so many factors that go into like what drives each day. It's most impossible to determine that. Yeah, you could be with me when we're drinking and saying hi to people, but
What about
when
when
I'm
I'm doing
taking
the
myself
dishes?
off the payroll for 2 months,
Yeah.
you know, because I want to make sure that the account stays good, you got to be with me then too. So,
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if some of the guys just call out on you or just disappeared and you got to
Yeah.
pick up the slack for like 2-3 weeks.
yeah,
And then you're
easily.
coming home later on you because you're after doing twice
Right.
as much work. And then you're not, yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah.
Working, Jesus.
Yeah.
Where were
Christ
you?
almighty.
Well-
Yeah, no, to touch on that point too. I also come from a very traditional household. You know, so I would expect a traditional relationship. I come home from work, I gotta have something ready. But to be honest, you're coming home at 2:00 in the morning. What do you expect, like a whole 5-course meal to be ready?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, you're the man.
Jesus.
I would expect something. Like a 5-course meal, maybe not, but
I love you, Dano. I love you.
I do
I
too.
love you, Dano.
Fucking classic.
I don't know.
My
I
mother's
can
a
see-
chef.
I can see the point.
Right?
Yeah.
My mother's a chef. So I grew up watching my mother work 2 restaurant jobs at once. Right?
Crazy.
And I watched
God
her
bless.
trying to raise me also
Warrior.
like, trying to be
warrior.
Yes.
a woman by herself.
Yes.
So trying to have a relationship because my parents are separated, trying to live her own life, and I'm like, it's not the best industry for like. It's not the best industry for relationships because you have to have a significant other that will understand that. It's like, okay, so we're meant to go out tonight at 7 p.m. Okay, that's great. We've been planning this for the last week. Well, you know what just happened? One of the barbacks doesn't want to bring up ice to the bartender because they got into a little tiff. And now, you know, there's a possibility that we're not going out. There's a possibility that I'm going to have to go in and be the barback because they're fighting over nonsense. Or the dishwasher didn't show up. And it's like, for most people, if you do that, that's like not okay. Like if you do that to a lady, that is not okay. But the reality is like I've been doing that for a long time, and if you are doing that to someone, like you gotta respect that they're gonna be okay with it. But if they're not okay with it, it's just not gonna work, right? Because it's gonna happen, and you can't guarantee that it won't happen again.
Yeah.
Whereas most things, you're like I promise that
There's
won't
a guarantee
happen again.
that it will
It's like
happen
yeah,
again.
exactly. It's like. What's going to
100%
happen?
will
We're
happen
going
again.
out for lunch on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, are we? Well, on Sunday morning, actually, we're not going out for lunch, unfortunately, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
And I only found out about this last night.
Yeah, and
After you've been prepping for this all week.
yeah,
Sorry.
and not only
Name
that, but
changes
I'm
to
pissed
this
off
for now.
about it. Right,
Yeah.
I'm pissed off that we're not going out for lunch.
Of course,
also,
yeah.
But and now I'm pissed off that
Then
you're
you look
pissed off
heartless.
at me
Yeah.
that
This
we're
and
not
that.
going out for lunch. Right, so
And
now
you're a
it's
piece
like
of shit, and then I'm like, okay.
yeah,
But
Do you have any other points other than relationships? I know that you were very clear on how it. Yeah, you obviously do.
That's
Yeah, yeah, you do. It's a good point to bring up of the negatives of working this late nights. Obviously, one thing, relationships another thing.
a lot of positives.
But
though.
yeah, of
Always
course.
a lot of
Yeah,
positives.
of course.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
not all
positives,
negative by
of course,
any stretch.
of course, and the positives comes with the negatives.
Yeah.
Yin yang, same with everything.
Always.
But is there any other points
In terms
of the negatives that you see that you feel like aren't talked about as much?
in general,
In
The
the
industry?
industry, yes.
I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm drunk yet.
Yeah.
11 o'clock in the morning.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I'll give you one. So
Yeah, give me one and then I can elaborate off of it.
right, being known and going places where everybody knows you and looks out for you is great, but it's
Yeah.
also terrible. Right? It's the
Terrible.
yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, wow, that's
sometimes
crazy.
I walk into the restaurant and I'm like, right, hood up. I'm not working.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get downstairs. And I'm going to dart downstairs because otherwise I'm going to have to stop and say hello to you.
Yeah.
And if I say hello to you,
Yep.
right now I got to say hello to all these other people because I do know them and I do want to say hello. But actually I'm trying
Yeah.
to get in and out of here in 15 minutes and I'm just trying to get something going.
Right.
Or you meet someone new and you're sitting having a conversation, or you're speaking business to someone and you go somewhere where you think people don't know you, and the reality is now you can't be rude because these are people who, like, you know, they're
Yeah.
helping your livelihood, they're
Of
your
course,
guests,
and
but now
appreciate
it's like
it wholeheartedly.
you're never
You
really,
can't detach though ever.
Exactly.
Like you want to attach, you want to be part of it. You want to provide for these people who are new. They've been rocking with you. They're regulars and everything. Love them genuinely, all of them. But you're right. Sometimes, and it's just human nature. No matter what business you're in, sometimes you just want to detach. But because business is purely social, it's hard to get away. But even outside of the establishment, you guys here, me at Pax, or anybody within their own establishment, I mean, you can't go. I mean, definitely White Plains. You can't go anywhere in
course.
White Plains
If you go
without
to a
running
Yankee
into
game.
a dozen people. Yeah, and it's becoming slimmer and slimmer everywhere. Like even if you go into Jersey, you go into Connecticut, wherever. There's a good chance I'm running into people, and then you have to like it's impossible to disconnect.
me and James
Impossible.
went to Le Cuckoo down in the city, as we said the other day. We parked the car.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, we did. We parked the car somewhere on Canal Street. And as soon as we get out of the car, this lady's walking by and I'm like,
She's with like 4 ladies.
yeah.
Piglets.
And yeah, she knew
She's
it
like, you're
straight
the
away.
Brian Pig guy.
I was like, yeah. And then
I love
then the face
But,
turned on me.
yes.
I'm like, hey, nice to meet you, you know.
And then she's like, you don't remember me? And James is like, no, I do. And it's like,
Probably got hammered trying to
initially
fight
he
somebody.
did. And it's like, initially, like, you're walking down Canal Street, you're just taken back by it. You
Of
know,
course.
You're like,
Yeah. Taking in the sights. And then I did recognize him after. And I want to say, if you're listening, thank you so much for saying hello. It was very nice to see you in the city.
we love all yous.
But
You're like, "Now before."
it is definitely a thing that comes up. Yeah, running into people. Listen, I think it's a blessing
Flattering.
and a curse. Of course,
Flattering,
of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
Do you notice it yet, Tony?
Yes. Yeah. Well, mostly here in White Plains. And they're like, oh, how's it, like, with the podcast starting, they're like, oh, how's the podcast? People are messaging me. It's like, oh, how's it going? Like, it's good. But yeah, when I go to places, I do get recognized. Sometimes I get drinks when I used to drink, and it was bad because, you know, I don't want more alcohol. But yeah, I do.
Become local
I do.
faces. You know, it's just and it's definitely part of it, and I wouldn't trade it. But again, it's impossible at times to just shut it off.
So on that point, like imagine it at a higher level. Like I don't know if anybody ever
Crazy.
watched The Fame Trap.
Nah. That's
The Fame Trap is a half-an-hour documentary on YouTube. It's free, but it's based on Justin Bieber's life. Or they follow basically the paparazzi, but they use Justin Bieber as the main model. So anyway, it just goes into the details on what these people actually have to put up with. I didn't know this, but did you know that paparazzi members have been known to follow the same celebrity around for years?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
100%.
Years.
I believe that.
Years.
But, like,
imagine
you're-
you going somewhere, the same person's like trying to wind you up, like
It's-
pushing your
yeah,
buttons
yeah.
for years.
But think about it this way, right?
Crazy.
If you're a hunter, right, wouldn't it make sense that you hunt what you know about?
Yeah.
Right, like if you know Justin Bieber's whereabouts and you know his schedule and you know what he does and you know who he is and
That's
you know
your
how
job,
to get a
yeah.
reaction out of him,
Crazy.
why would you go and start following Eminem? You know,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's like if you know how to track this guy down, you're gonna keep just tracking this guy down.
Yeah, but it's still fucked up though.
Yeah,
It's still
no,
fucked up
very
on
fucked
that level. Like we're just talking about how it affects
we
us
got
on a local
problems.
level.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. But to that extent, it's crazy.
Well, listen, lads,
Yeah.
I think we got to get wrapped up and get this game on the road.
A few more shots.
It was an absolute
Started it
Yeah.
up. I did.
pleasure having you, Paul. We love
It's a
you.
pleasure being here.
We're gonna
Yeah,
be
Paul.
again.
Me too.
Thank
And,
you for
and
stopping.
once
Appreciate
again,
you guys.
listen, congratulations on
Thank
the Bib
you.
Gourmand. I think it's
you.
great
Thank
for
you,
you
thank
guys, great for White Plains in general.
Yeah.
Great for
Yeah.
great
It's
for,
great
and
for
it
the
really
area.
shows all the effort that you're really putting in.
Give a
Area,
shout out.
Crush it.
Tell everybody about Pax right before we go, where it is and how they can find you if they're looking for you.
TVB by Pax Romana, 171 East Post Road. Best Italian White Plains.
Hey,
Baby.
You know
there
it.
You go.
Go.
Nice.
All right, lads.
All right,
They're all
cheers,
good.
fellas.
They're all good.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you guys.